Today, you need to turn on the water supply. Sounds simple, it should be a good time. Simple, you say? Just you wait. Rat attack! Quickly, everyone, get ready. A singular rat the size of your foot attacks. I stab it. It died. Oh. You walk over to the valve, turning it slowly, releasing that sweet, sweet water. Was that it? That was a glorious quest. The water is back, baby.
Welcome to SquidPublic. Slay the like button, subscribe for more content, join Patreon for one-shots and other content, as well if you liked the video, leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching.
This video is not about DM tips in terms of like how to balance your encounters or which monsters to choose specifically for your party. This is going to be more about how to engage your party in meaningful choices and to get the party's interest. If you find that if it's outside of your main story, the party tends not to take your quests as seriously. The situation I want to create for your players at the end or in the middle of your session is, how will this come back to us? Whether that's a good action or a bad action. But that is the feeling I want to leave your players. The dreaded, oh no, what have we done? Or the, oh yes, this will be beneficial. Side quests are difficult to make interesting if they're not main story related, if we don't have a lot of practice in doing them. A quick no-no, especially for one session shots, do not do a true mystery. I've found that true mysteries where you don't know anything about the mystery until you start that session often run into a few problems. One, people get really invested into mysteries, which is good, but getting invested takes time. Often if you only have 4 hours, or close to 4 hours, it's not enough time to do a true mystery because the party tries to go down every avenue and you as the DM go, uh-oh, this isn't moving fast enough, I need to hit my next story beat. The next thing you know, your players can barely keep up with all the information you're giving, not have enough time to cross-reference what people are saying, and you reach the end and the DM goes, well, wasn't it obvious? You go, well, yes, if I had more than like 2.5 hours to try to figure everything out of the blue. If you're going to do complex mysteries, I'd at least do 2 sessions or have a session build-up where the players know they're going to go into a mystery and they know some of the players already. That should be able to speed up your actual investigation and figuring it out. But trying to do it all in one 4-hour session, I've never had good experience DMing it or being a player in it. With that warning out of the way, let's talk about making the best side quest possible. The best long-term success you're gonna have in making your side quests interesting is having a way to have it relate to your main story or obviously main character, NPC or playable character, as long as it's somebody who's generically affects the world or is constantly with your party. So we could obviously start out with the players meeting an NPC or an NPC is traveling with them and they are doing a task that the players were not aware of, or they're in a town that they did not know related somehow to their NPC friend. This is the first route to make memorable and intriguing sessions, but not the only one. Characters who affect the current state of affairs will automatically add intensity and obviously weight to their actions and what happens with the person. This path does take time to build up though. This is not something immediate because your actions with that NPC or playable character now may not actually come into fruition till later. So if you have a party who's not used to things having impact on them many sessions later or a few sessions later, it will take a little bit of time to get buy-in from your party. But your party is smart. Your players are smart. They will learn, uh-oh, these people that we interact with are affecting future choices we have to do, and they will act accordingly from those sessions onward. In order to do this, though, you have to ask, what does that NPC or nation, whatever object, in this situation, we're going to stick with NPC for now, what do they represent to the party? Are they a threat? Are they an ally? A business opportunity? Wealth? So on and so on. Whatever would intrigue your party where you think your party would want to interact with, good or bad, what do they represent to your party and why would your party decide to engage with them? Obviously, the content of your side quest should then relate to that why. For example, we're going to stick with wealth. If your party perceives this person as wealth and your party cares about wealth, let's go down the list of a few things that person could be. So obviously it could be a business person, a trader, whatever. In this situation, we're going to pick a prospector of a mine for either a nation or a wealthy family. Therefore, the party, among some other maybe not so morally righteous people, are shipped off to a mine to clear it out of some type of infestation. During the camp or the clearing of the mine, whatever you decide is the best time, maybe the party finds out, hey, this family we're working for, not exactly great people, and once again, we'll get to more of a faction rather than single person later. What they learned about this family or prospector is he works for somebody who takes local workers, pays them poorly, and takes advantage of, the surrounding population. So by clearing this mine for this prospector, contractor, whatever you want to call them, they're going to sell it or secure it for a family who is going to force people into really bad jobs and situations, possibly destabilizing the social atmosphere in the local area. That one's a little grim. If you don't want to go quite as grim as like really poor work and destabilizing socially, you could do more of a war effort. Maybe you have a war going on in your campaign. You could say, hey, this prospector was hired by this faction or nation, and they need the metals or minerals, whatever's in there, to help them in the war effort via money, for their armor, magical, whatever they find valuable in this mine, they need it to help them progress the war. Once your party agrees to do this, once they realize who it is, they can no longer sit on the fence. They must now decline the contract/sabotage or do the contract and move on with the money, essentially. And before we get to the results of that, we can also talk about the monster briefly that can add an additional layer and add more morally gray areas to the situation. As I already hinted, it could be an infestation monster. Maybe they reproduce quickly, they lay eggs, there's just so many you couldn't possibly clear them out. That or they run away and you couldn't get them all in time. But at the end of the day, the party could theoretically do the job. Tell the prospector, hey, the mine is clear. He tours the mine and goes, yeah, they look dead. Awesome. But maybe your party let a few live, or maybe they accidentally oversaw some of the eggs in there, and then, months later, they're gonna hatch, ruining the mine. So yes, that hurts the nation you are going to obviously say you wanted to help. At the same time, was it worth hurting a nation to possibly have innocents die in that mine when those eggs hatch where the infestation creatures come back? Was it worth it? Maybe bounty hunters are hired to go after the party because they believe that they lied to the prospector and now they're being hunted, we're trying to be forced into jail, we're trialed with who knows what. If they do the job, maybe the prospector keeps coming back to them for work and they have to keep doing morally gray things, but the money is so dang good, some of your people in your party go, hey, I don't know if they do that completely. The war's the war. I don't have any part in it. I'm just here to make money. Some people are going to say that angle, while others go, we can't let people work in an unstable, work job or help a nation beat another nation. We don't want to be a party responsible for that. So it should cause some type of talk or some type of moral choice that will shape whether they help this nation or they will essentially be an enemy of that nation. Imagine your campaign like a book or a movie. The director or writer will show or write something they want you to see or read. Do the same thing for your party. Whatever you put in there is typically for a reason. Not everything, just like in movies and books, there are things in there that the author just wants to do for fun where they know it's fan service. You will end up doing that in your sessions, but it's okay. But at the end of the day, your sessions should come back to this matters. I'm not going to throw you in a session in isolation. This will eventually come back to affect you, or at least the world you live in. So the more you start doing that, and this, like I said, this will take time because you're obviously not going to be able to do this in one session. But as your players play a few sessions, they go, wait a second, we did not clear out that whole mine and we lied. Now we're being stalked by somebody. Why? And when they defeat the bounty hunters, they go, oh, blah, 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 hired us. And they're going to go, oh, crap. Now we're like really on someone's crap list and we may be hunted down for a long while until the nation or prospector gives us trying to take us down. But it might take a few sessions to get those bounty hunters there. And I wouldn't rush it because I think it'd be all the more surprising if they're in a town completely not expecting it, doing some other job. Next thing you know, a couple of people come out of the woods and ambush them. They go, who are these people? And then they find out, yeah, it has consequences, and this is just the beginning of them. So let's talk about side quests that are maybe a little less engaging / are going to have more of a organization / structural feel to them rather than relating directly to an NPC. This will obviously still involve a playable character, but it won't necessarily be completely building them up directly. They'll get built up indirectly by the choices and decisions and situations of people outside of them. Sometimes we do need a session to build up to those predicament sessions. Maybe your group's bounty hunters, where they hunt monsters or keep dark evil at bay, whatever they do, but they go home for one session and they enjoy time with their family. And while they're sitting with their family, they go, "Oh, this is nice, I haven't been home for a while, it's peaceful, it's stress-free, it's fun, didn't have any combat, yada yada yada." But you could force it at that session being like, isn't this nice? And at the end of the day, your playable characters will know this is not a reality in which they can live, but this is a reality in which they can hope to give other people. So this is more of an emotional session, using someone's family and situation as like, this was a nice fun session, but at the end of the day, we figured out why we do our job. We do our job in some situations to keep monsters at bay and keep people in their homes together rather than people having to be sad or live in fear. So let's tie this kind of all together again. Now we're going to have the prospector and a playable character who just went through one of those feel-good sessions. So the player in this scenario is bringing back large quantities of wealth to their family, and their family's doing much better. And their family's actually pretty ambitious, and they're using that wealth to create businesses that are now improving their hometown that used to be impoverished. However, obviously, more money is going to grant the family more business opportunities to increase the status of their impoverished town. You meet this prospector. Do you create local ties? Is it in the area? Do you mention your family and do they create a business deal? Now, how does this affect your family if they do that? Does your family become corrupt with all the money they get? Or if you deny or undermine the prospector, do they come after your family you so willingly told them about? So by introducing that small seed of my family's doing well, but they need more money, and you have the option of more money, but as we said, there's a little bit of a moral gray area, depending on what that player or players say about that family, could really open up many avenues to more ways to get vengeance or more ways to corrupt your own family in terms of business. Now, not only did you do something morally gray, you have two business people that are not the best. Let me know what your party thought would be a rather insignificant decision, but actually came with great consequences. In the current campaign, as a player, I wrote back to my league/guild about something a couple of my party members did. I have no idea the current effects that will have on my party, but they're most likely going to be negative or we're going to get reamed out. But I did that because my character is invested in trying to follow the book and not do potentially evil, I won't say evil, but unnatural things. And both of my party members dabbled in some pretty interesting stuff. So with my character being a little goody-goody two-shoe at times, he's going to get himself and his party probably in trouble, and who knows what the consequences will be of that. So I'm engaging with the world my DM has created. He gave an opportunity, and I'm just building upon it to create those possible consequences or story beats later. It's difficult to get your players invested into side quests because side quests sometimes can be viewed as in isolation and they don't want something that's always story related. But I would argue they should almost always be related to your story in terms of it exists in the world, or at least related to a playable character to expand their story and their decision making. My only fear is if you have too many sessions in isolation, your party can lax and decide that, oh, it's okay to mess up here or do morally questionable things here because it will never come back to us. Now, my rebuttal to that is, before I go, it's your sessions, it's your campaign. If you find a way to make things morally gray in an isolated scenario your party likes, it doesn't have to relate to a playable character or main story. But I do find it helpful if you're having a long, structured campaign to have things progress even if you're not in the main story itself. So just imagine each session you do as a cog. Not every cog is large, but every small cog should help turn all the others when the time is right. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe below.